Next time, don't say below me. That might come across. We might get shut down early.
Yeah, we may. Welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Liberty First Foundation Roundtable. I'm Mike Marshall. I'm one of the co-founders of the Liberty First Foundation. To my right is Frank Range Report Johnson. He is the other co-founder of the Liberty First Foundation. And then front and center, you will see Michael Vasquez from No Soundbites Allowed. Michael is a political commentator for 20 some odd years now. And he's joining us tonight.
With half my face, my
camera. Yeah, well, his face keeps cutting down. And
yeah, I don't know. It's the beard. It's the gray. It hates the gray in my beard. I don't know why.
So, some late breaking news in the Trump hush money trial came out today, and this is what was on the court's website. Let me get this up here real quick. So this is directly from the New York State Unified Court System's website on the trial. Okay. So from the Supreme Court of the state of New York, Juan E. Merchant, Judge of Court of Claims, Supreme Court Criminal Term, First Judicial District. And this is sent out via email. Dear counsel, today the court became aware of a comment that was posted on the Unified Court System's public Facebook page, and which I am now bring to your attention. In the comment, the user, Michael Anderson, states, "My cousin is a juror and says Trump is getting convicted. Thank you, folks, for all your hard work." The comment, now labeled as 1 week old, responded to a routine UCS notice posted on May 29th, 2024, regarding oral arguments in the 4th Department of the Appellate Division unrelated to this proceeding. The posting entitled, "The Appellate Division, 4th Department will hear oral arguments this morning at 10, and the comment are both viewable at facebook.com/New York Courts.
Yeah. Now, for people who don't know, the news started breaking first, at least the first notification that I saw was on Twitter. That was at 4:43. In fact, I can show it to you guys. Let's see. So let me present that. Come on. There we go. So the first notification, as you can see on the screen, this came in at 4:43 today. Was one of the first notifications that I saw about this. Approximately, I think it was about, and it actually turns out I didn't see this immediately, but OAN, One America News Network, which is considered a verified news agency, they actually had the news first. That came out at 4:05 p.m. The mainstream news media didn't start picking it up until about 7 p.m. About 3 hours afterwards, the mainstream news media, because it was being so popular on social media, the mainstream started picking up on it, saying they couldn't confirm it. But like you said, Mike, it was on New York courts documentation. Right. It is a valid document from New York courts, from the judge. So the question is, well, there's two main questions, really, I think. The first question would be, does this mean that there is going to be a mistrial? Which means, is this person who claims to be a cousin of one of the jurors, is that true? Did they have contact with their cousin, if it is true, if they actually are related? Did they have contact? And then the third thing would be, if 1 and 2 are true, this should then immediately go into mistrial, or at least an investigation for the mistrial. It would likely as far as I can tell, it would likely become a mistrial and all 34 convictions would go away. But, and Mike and I were talking about this before the show, that doesn't mean Trump's off the hook. It means the trial happens again. But it won't happen again before the November election.
Well, I've actually got a couple theories. Okay. Now, both councils can request a mistrial. The judge can also declare a mistrial on his own based upon this. Now, right. Given the flack and headaches and so forth, as a means of not having this overturned on appeal, their best bet would be to have this declared as a mistrial and not retry. Because, and I'm going to get into a bunch of things later on in the show, in the broadcast, about why this will be overturned on appeal.
Well, that was always going to happen.
Yeah. But with the way it was presented by the prosecution, this was more of a shakedown than it was Trump using this to cover up other crimes that he committed. Or not a shake up, a shakedown. And
right. Sorry, got background noise. 1 second.
Yeah. So I'm going to be going over that later with some of the transcripts and some things that have came out since then. And believe it or not, the source for a lot of the information that I'm going to be utilizing in this argument comes from people that agree with the felony conviction. And they are literally using this as their justification on why Trump is guilty of a felony instead of a misdemeanor.
This shouldn't even be. Look, whether it's misdemeanor, I don't think this trial should have. We were talking about it last week, and people can go back to our discussion last week. I'll reiterate. We're talking about a case where one of the key witnesses, Stormy Daniels, perjured herself nationally, changing her story. Multiple times, perjured herself publicly, nationally covered news. So she perjured herself. She's not a reliable witness. Nothing she can say should be taken at value. And the lawyer who was in charge of the finances for President Trump didn't authorize each transaction. He had power of attorney. He went through. He lost his law license because he committed crimes which included embezzlement of funds, which he admitted on to the court. And that, again, this is an unreliable witness. This is someone that the prosecution could not rely on. They are not credible. And so we have two non-credible witnesses, and the rest of the information is speculative at best, because Trump didn't need to okay everything. He didn't. He didn't even file anything. This is going through his accountant. All he did was pay the bill. They said, pay this money. He paid it. This is a sham. There is so much worse we have seen in politics that have been forgiven. This is the least of things anyone should be arrested for. It's ridiculous. But the question is, everyone, and we can see from all the polling, we can see from the money that Trump has raised, he's raised some $300 million since the moment that the Democrats were cheering about. They got the headline they wanted, Trump guilty. That's what they wanted, and it completely backfired. Trump raised over $300 million, about $200 million of that within the first 48 hours. He has held on in all the polls. He still dominates in all 7 of the battleground states. He's still winning every single one of them. And in the aggregate of polling, which you can get from Real Clear Politics, in fact, I have it here. Bear with me a second as I show you guys, because people don't know where to look for this stuff. Real Clear Politics, independent site. They don't have any sides, and they look at every credible poll that comes out, and they look at the average. And looking at the 5-way race, which doesn't include the Libertarians yet, but with everyone else in the race, Trump is winning by 2 points.
And that's nationally. That's not electorally. That's popular vote.
That's the popular vote. Yeah. Now we can see, while it's gotten a little bit closer, which we would expect as we get closer to November, this has always been a tight race. But what you're going to hear quoted most often from the general news media is they're going to pick and choose. They're going to go to the Yahoo News poll because it shows Biden winning by 2. That's not the only poll that came out today. And as you can see,
or they're going to go to Reuters, which shows Biden up by 2.
Right. And you notice there's 3 more polls.
Or NPR.
Right. And so they're going to go to those. But we have the majority of polls actually show Trump winning. And if you look back over the history of it, you'll see that Trump, the further back you go, about 8 out of 10 polls show Trump winning or that there is a tie. And Trump has maintained that lead, sometimes larger, sometimes less, but usually it's about 1.5. We're still within the norm of the changes. This election hasn't done anything to Trump. He's still looking to win strong.
Yeah, this conviction hasn't detracted from Trump's popularity at all. And on that, okay, one of the things, okay, as we all know, as we all know, the president isn't elected by the national popular vote. No. He is elected electorally. And what really makes this so massive is under Real Clear Politics. Get out of here. Under Real Clear Politics, they are showing Trump winning in every battleground state, every swing state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wisconsin, he's up by 0.1. Arizona, he's up by 4.2. Now that's a state that Trump supposedly lost in 2020. Nevada, he's up by 5.3. Another state that Trump supposedly lost in 2020. If we scroll down here a little further, okay, Michigan, Trump's leading by 0.3. Pennsylvania, Trump's leading by 0.23.
2.3.
Or 2.3. Georgia, again, another state that Trump supposedly lost. Trump is up 4.8. And North Carolina, which is classified as another battleground state, but it's pretty much full red, he's up by 5.3.
Yeah. So like I said, he's winning in all the battlegrounds.
Now,
Biden lost them all.
If you don't trust that, we'll go to another polling. Okay,
there's nobody better than Real Clear Politics.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Michael. Let's actually. Okay, so let me share this one. Now, this is 538, and they show Trump leading nationally at 1.1.
Well, it's not up on your screen, but 538.com is a not just left leaning. They are a left news well, not even news organization, political organization. And so this is coming from the left leaning news media, like far left.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're done by ABC News.
Oh,
Okay.
ABC
And
News
they
bought
show
them after the fact. They've always been left leaning before ABC bought them.
they show Trump as leading by 1.1 points nationally.
Mhm.
Okay. One of the things that I find really interesting, though, and I want to go back to Real Clear Politics, is Virginia. Virginia was pretty much considered safe for Biden. It's not so much. Many polls show
Where's
sorry
Joe?
about
Mike?
that. Had to let my dog out.
Hmm.
Many polls show that Virginia is tied. I've seen a couple that have shown Trump up by a point or two. But Biden's never up in Virginia more than a point.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing as a trend across the country. Biden is looking at the potential. I've seen it in terms of electoral votes. I've seen several predictions that show Trump winning by 312 electoral votes, which is more than enough to win. It's pretty much a landslide in terms of Trump. And I think that's really funny, again, coming back to the mistrial and what we're seeing here. It's interesting because the judge is the one that brought this to the attorneys, to both attorneys' attention, which means the judge knew about this before or separate of anyone else in the trial. And the judge, is it that the judge is looking to get another cycle in the news, either directly from the mistrial and then having a new trial trying to fit that in before November? Or is it by just saying, reconfirming, no, but he's still guilty and he's going to be sentenced? And my prediction is, besides getting a fine, Trump will get 2 years in jail. That's my prediction.
Well, supposedly it was leaked that the prosecution, and this was supposedly leaked on The View today.
Oh, God, really? The View?
Yeah.
That's not a source.
By Sunny, whoever her name is.
Hostile,
that her close friends in the DA's department are going to recommend 1 year. Because if they get 1 year or less, Trump goes to Rikers.
As much as they would, first of all, and I covered this on Sunday, I believe on my channel, on my Sunday live stream. Trump and we talked about it last week here. Trump can't go to Rikers, no matter how much they would want him to, and they are pleading, they're begging. The left wants Trump behind bars. They want to have a photo showing Trump in a cage. This is their wet dream, literally. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing separate of that was getting to see the headlines that say Trump guilty. That was like their big moment. And now the only thing that can make it better is seeing him actually behind bars, even if it's for a week. They don't care. But he can't go to Rikers because of the Secret Service. Mm-hmm. He can't. And they would actually have to go to an abandoned old prison and put Trump in there, essentially in solitary confinement, effectively, because of his Secret Service detail that would go with him. So they're never going to get them in Rikers, as much as the left is, that's their wet dream. The View, not a serious source. I don't trust them for anything. They're cackling hens, and I can find people on Twitter and TikTok that actually know more than those. They're fed their information.
Oh, they are.
And I think, them saying 1 year is a test by the Democrats to float this. Does the public react well to 1 year, or is it 2 years? Do we need a little bit more, a little bit less time? What's going to get the best reaction from Democrats and, more importantly, the independent voters? But this whole thing's blown up in their face. And now you add in mistrial, which only justifies everyone. And Democrats have said this. Independents have said this. We've seen this in polling. We've seen this in the news media. Even the left look at this hush money trial and say this was an improper, unfair application of the law. And now you tell me there's a mistrial. And if they don't move forward with that, it looks even more political than it's already confirmed to be.
Right. Okay. Now, something else that everybody's been just gushing over, and this is supposed to hinder his presidency, is this that I'm getting ready to pull up here now. So basically what I put up here is from People Magazine. Donald Trump is banned from 37 countries as a convicted felon, including major allies like Canada and the UK. If elected president again, Trump would need special permission to enter several key countries for maintaining foreign relations.
He needs that now. He needs that as a president anyway. A president can't just walk into another country. You need special authorization anyway, because they have to have security details, because Secret Service is flying with him. And in many countries, as an example, in the United Kingdom, you're not allowed, individuals are not allowed to carry a firearm. Well, the president goes into the United Kingdom, the Secret Service detail is going to be armed. So you have to have special permission from the United Kingdom's government because you need your security detail. That is the most misleading document. Well, it's so stupid on its face.
And this is not only are major news media outlets like People Magazine promoting this, members of Congress are. Swalwell has said that Trump will have a hard time being president because he's not allowed in these countries as a convicted felon. And there have been several other Democrats as well. Here's the thing that they're not telling you on this. As head of state, Trump would have full diplomatic immunity in any country that he traveled to. Okay. The United States has typically overlooked when people have been convicted of war crimes and have allowed them entry into the United States to meet at the UN. Okay. Because of their diplomatic status.
Gaddafi, Castro, Kim Jong-un, Putin, Xi Chairman Xi out of Communist China. I mean, that's just a handful of guys. Chavez out of Venezuela. That's 6 people I just named off the top of my head that are in various stages of ill repute in the world. And they've been allowed into Yasser Arafat when he was with the PLO, a terrorist organization. There's lots of people. So
Omar Gaddafi.
Gaddafi. Yep. I thought I didn't mention him, but yeah, there's plenty of people. Saddam Hussein as well.
Okay.
There's lots of people.
But when you hold a diplomatic status, which the president most assuredly will, you are given a lot of leeway.
Frank, chime
Okay.
in.
Because of that diplomatic status.
Well, I just don't care.
Oh, come on.
No, listen. I just honestly, I just don't
Frank
give a shit.
Mistrial Johnson doesn't have an opinion.
No, I have opinions, but most of my opinions will get a visit from the Secret Service. The fact of the matter is, I just don't care. Because no matter what scenario we come up with, no matter what ideas we come up with or anything else like that, the system is destroyed.
Oh, it is.
The system is completely and utterly broken, and it doesn't friggin' matter. Because no matter what we think is going to happen legally, rationally, logically, ethically, constitutionally, the complete opposite is going to take place, regardless of it. Now, I'm gonna give you this. This is how I'm looking at this thing playing out. They don't care if Trump goes to jail. They just don't want him in the White House. Okay, and it was said just as much last week that by that Cenk, whatever the hell his name is, that if he would have just not run for president, he wouldn't have had any of these problems. All of this would have gone away if he had just not run for president.
That's coercion. That's coercion.
Well, it just goes to show you that this was confirmation by one of the leading talking heads on the left that this entire system, the legal system, has been politicized specifically with the idea of getting Donald Trump. Now, whether it means getting him out of the race, soiling his name, sullying his reputation, denying the American people the ability to vote for him, whatever it is, the whole idea was to do as much damage to him as possible.
And it keeps
I read an
backfiring on him.
I read an article the other day about the most expensive private estate in Florida being sold. It's 1/5 the size of Mar-a-Lago and sold for $275 million. It's 1/5 the size.
Mhm.
4 miles away from Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, then how is Mar-a-Lago undervalued? How did he overvalue that? Okay, obviously, that whole thing was a political witch hunt too. We know it because the real estate market just proved it. The real estate market just proved that Donald Trump did nothing wrong with that. There was another victimless, crimeless event that the man's going to pay a $650 million fine for. Now we got this thing here. This judge, who I am certain when he goes home at night is getting an earful from his wife, getting an earful from the daughter who's $30 million in the black with the raising of the money on the whole thing. He's more than aware of how his antics in the case have played out with the left and the right. He knows damned well that when this thing gets appealed, every one of the judgments that he made is going to be excoriated through whatever appellate division is going to be. They're going to say that he acted inappropriately, that he acted non-judiciously, that he acted unconstitutionally, that he was reckless, that he was, vindictive in a lot of his decisions. He knows this is going to happen. He knows that this is going to happen. He knows that the trial is going to get overturned. The conviction is going to get overturned. So when you look at this and you say, well, are they going to retry him? Are they going to go for sentencing? No, this right now is their best out. This is their best out. They know that they only have one possible chance of keeping Trump out of the White House right now, and that's to steal the election. Okay, they know that they're going to lose. 7 out of 10 Democrats right now are still clamoring for somebody to replace Biden at the office. Just looking at what happened in France at Normandy over the last 2 days, you understand why. Okay, the man is a bumbling pile of mush that can't hold his intestines together long enough to sit through a ceremony. Right? A mistrial is the best thing that could happen for the Democrats right now. It's the best thing.
It is.
Because what happens is you get the mistrial, the verdict gets nullified, okay? Nullified the verdict, okay? But he gets an asterisk. Once convicted felon, Donald Trump. Once convicted felon. Oh, but it was a mistrial. Oh, but a mistrial is a technicality. A jury still found him guilty. And without an appellate court reversing the decisions made by the judge gets to walk away scot-free without his record being impugned by the appellate division who'd overturn him. So all of the ridiculousness that this guy pulled off over the last few weeks during this trial, it's intact. Nobody gets to go back and revise what he did or punish him for what he did. It's just like it never happened. It never happened.
But see, that's my point, that they need something different, because that's only going to be red meat. And literally, that's what this is.
They're not going to get something different. If they try to sentence him, and put him in jail, okay, he's going to get an expedited appeal because of course. Okay, it's going to be an expedited appeal. Any sentence that he would get is going to be postponed until after the appeal is rendered, or a new trial is rendered, which is going to be in 4 years, because they're not going to be able to conduct a criminal trial with the president of the United States while he's in office.
Again,
right. So they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They're all talking this big game. We want him in jail. We want him in jail. Now they get to say, that son of a bitch should be in jail if we didn't have that one idiot.
Here's my thing.
They get to still say he's illegitimate. They get to say he's a convicted felon. They get to say he'd be in jail. They get all of that without just having to have him put there. And they're going to use all of that to try and handicap the man for 4 years.
Okay, but here's my point. They've got all that now. It doesn't work. No one is looking at the only people this is red meat for, and that's what the whole point is. This is red meat to motivate their base to come out and vote and to donate. And they're not. And they're not getting the independents, and they are losing some of their own rank and file Democrats. They need the jail sentence, literally, because it is absolutely true. And that if you have someone who's convicted and they go to jail, which then, they're a convict, that does influence the way people look to vote. It has some impact. Some people will, rather than vote for Joe Biden, the second best choice for Democrats is they just won't vote. And that's what they're hoping for, to drive people out. But as it stands right now, and I think that they have miscalculated. I think that because of the nature of how this has been done, because of what the nature of it has been, the extremity that they have gone to, and the way they're gloating on this, it is completely backfired on them. Everyone sees this as a kangaroo court trial. Everyone knew that he was going to be found guilty beforehand. And now we have the proof, potentially have the proof of that the fix was in from the first day. Nothing they can do from this point will make them better off.
I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to tell you one more. That tweet, that's part of the fix. That tweet was deliberate. The tweet was deliberate. This mistrial, in the way I'm looking at this thing, this mistrial, remember, I'm a big fan of the long game. This mistrial is the option for them. They have the option, all right?
That's damage control for them.
Without that tweet coming out, now they have to rely on the appellate division and the Trump team to get all the paperwork done, to do whatever they have to do, the file to get the appeal. And they know damn well that they're not going to assign any jail time while there's an appeal going on. It's not going to happen. There's not going to be a sentence while there's an appeal. So that tweet was deliberate. It was deliberate. That
And
was,
here's another thing. Okay, and it's all over the New York Unified Court System's Facebook page, and I went looking for it. The date in question, the actual post from the Unified Court System of New York, no longer exists on their Facebook page.
So unless they have a screenshot, no one knows that this actually happened. Because I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, nobody heard about this. None of the, post-millennial left or right news media. You didn't hear anything from the Huffington Post. You didn't hear anything from post-millennial or any of the services.
Where did the news come from?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Where
right
did
here,
it came from this letter.
Here's the letter from Judge Merchant.
Right.
Okay.
He's the source.
In it, posted on May 29th, 2024, regarding oral arguments in the 4th Department of the Appellate Division. Okay. So you go looking for this post.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't exist.
I understand. It's been scrubbed from their Facebook. They can, of course, if they did their job properly, since this would be evidence, it should be documented. There should be a timestamp. There should be a record of their deletion, the time they deleted it, so that we should know. So, but my question is, going with the theory that Democrats wanted this as a safety net, that they knew this was either they knew and wanted this to happen, or they took advantage of it when it happened. Either way, whether it's premeditated or just advantageous, then they have to have some kind of proof of it. Because at the moment, it's just an allegation. I don't care if it comes from a judge. That's like a judge saying, well, Trump can't be on a ballot. No, you don't get to just make that up.
What do they have to prove? That the tweet existed?
They have to prove that the post
comment existed on that post.
On that page at that time. That's the first thing they have to prove. Then they have to prove
they're in mistrial. So you're saying they have to prove the authenticity of that tweet in order for them to come out and say that it was a mistrial, right?
Several things. First thing is they have to prove that it exists. Then they have to prove that the person posting is in fact the cousin. Then they have to prove that that cousin had access to that juror prior to the decision coming out.
And that there's actually communication between
them. Some any kind of communication. If they can prove they have those three things, if they can prove those three things, then this must, in my understanding of court procedures in New York, and again, I hope any of the lawyers that I know that watch the channel, if they may be more familiar with New York procedures on this, but to my understanding, if those three things are proven correct and true, then this must be mistrial.
Yes.
Must.
Well, if they decided to manufacture it themselves and put it out there, then they're pretty sure they already figured out which one of the jurors is going to claim that was their cousin.
See, but that seems so risky to me.
That's
that they would put it out and
not risky at all. They don't, Mike. They don't ever pay a price for the things that they do, ever. They never pay a price for the things that they do. Hunter Biden is in a courtroom right now, could be snorting coke off the rack of a naked prostitute while sitting at the defense table, and they're going to ignore it. There is no justice system anymore. And for you to sit there and say, oh, they have to prove this in order to make that. No, they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is give the innuendo, and it's enough. It's enough. That's all they have to do. The President of the United States, in testimony given to an inspector general, they allowed him to change the transcripts. And then the Attorney General of the United States then sealed the records so we don't have access to it. You think they give a shit about protocol anymore? They don't care. It's not a matter of what you know. It's more a matter of what you can prove. It's a matter of what you can make people think. It's not even a matter of what you can prove. It's a matter of what you can make people think. And the people don't think anymore.
No,
Not for
I
them.
think they do. I think this is having a big impact on independence. And we are seeing that Trump is gaining more and more support.
Right.
I
And
think
look,
they shot themselves in the foot.
all it comes down to is this: if they come out and they say, "Listen, we have no choice but to declare this a mistrial," you'll get all of them screaming at the sky again for a couple of weeks. Yeah, well, at least we still got a guilty verdict. We know he's a felon. We know he's a felon.
Yeah,
They got their win. They got their win. That's all they give a shit about. Trump's never going to see a day in jail. If they try to see a day in jail, there's going to be bloodshed.
Yeah, but that win, just saying, and again, just saying guilty and he's a criminal is not enough. It's good for progressives to come out. It's good for some Democrats to come out. That's what they were hoping for. But the result of those progressives, those Democrats, is not the tidal wave, the landslide, the emotional. It's not a trigger point. It's not working.
They know damn well they're not going to get their tidal wave unless they rig the election again. They know damn well they're not going to. Look what they just did in Louisiana.
Okay, for the censors, we don't know that there were irregularities. We don't know the extent of those irregularities, and we aren't saying how the election turned out.
This is what I personally believe. Don't censor what I believe. What I believe is to be the truth is that they stole the election. They rigged the election. That's why Louisiana just passed 17 different measures in one law to validate voter. What do you call it? There to make sure that the election is
authenticity,
authentic. I don't give a shit that the mainstream media doesn't approve of what I think.
I understand that, Frank. I'm not trying to. Let me clarify. I'm not trying to censor you. I'm trying to protect the channels because we could see them try and delete us for that, like delete the channels. That's what my point was. Not to ever censor you. It's not even it's not even like I think you're wrong. It's just trying to put in the wording that allows them to not censor us.
If YouTube knocks us off, YouTube knocks us off. If Facebook knocks us off, Facebook knocks us off. We'll still go on Rumble. We'll still get our message out. We will host our own live program on our own website, l1f.us. Go there right now to join up for our membership program, and you might be able to win a Henry rifle. So there, I don't let them silence me. I will stand on my roof with a fucking megaphone. I don't give a shit. I'm tired of us having to friggin' put our heads between our legs and kiss the asses of big tech because they don't like what we're saying or they don't like what I'm saying. I'm saying what I feel to be true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We would not be having laws being passed in various states if those states didn't know damn well that the elections had problems with it and that there were not of irregularities. Georgia just did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the Democrats are suing Democrats in Georgia over primaries that they say was getting stolen using the same techniques that were done in 2020. So it's not just me saying it, it's them saying it too.
I agree with you, Frank. I agree. I know. And there's Pennsylvania, there's case law in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin that all confirm exactly what you're speaking about. I understand.
Right. So
I'm not disputing
look, and the time for us to stand here and worry about how we say things and how we parse things has got to come to an end. It's got to come to an end eventually because the more people that decide that we can't say anything because they're going to shut us down, then the truth never gets spoken. And there is nothing worse than the truth not being spoken because it's the same as the lie itself. If you are afraid to speak the truth and you're afraid to carry the weight and pay the penalty and pay the burden, then you shouldn't open your mouth in the first place. I don't care about speaking the truth. I will always speak the truth. I buy all this shit and I review it all the time. I get gun companies send me letters telling me that was an unfair review. Well, you made a piece of shit gun and I'm going to call you on it. You made a piece of shit product. I'm going to call you on it. It's my money. It's my opinion. It's my voice. But the fact is, look, they don't have to put the man in jail. They got their win. They know that there's only two ways they're going to get the election. Three. Either they got to fix it, they got to run somebody else who's going to be.
Or they're going to assassinate Trump.
Or Trump has got to be in a box. That's it. Putting him in a jail cell is not going to do anything, because you saw what they just did. Oh, $37 million in 24 hours.
No, it's more than 37. It's 52.
2 million.
52,
200 million.
almost 53.
Yeah, yeah, at the final count. But imagine what the picture of him getting walked into the Gray Bar Hotel is going to do for his coffers.
Well,
And you think there wouldn't be a sea of people blocking that prison?
News that I've got, and I haven't had a chance to verify this positively, but since the trial, or since the verdict came out, Trump has raised $500 million in campaign funds. Okay, so that's $500 million that Trump's been able to raise inside of what, a week and a half? Or a week?
Mm-hmm. A little over a week, yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the thing is Democrats know that this is going to be appealed, and they know it's going to be overturned. Okay. They can't deny it. They're trying to deny it. So here are the three additional crimes that these false business records were supposedly covering up. One is fraudulent tax documents. The second one is a violation of the Federal Elections Commissions Act. The third one is a violation of New York State election law. Okay, so I'm going to go into all three of these one by one. Let's start off with New York State election law. Okay. New York State election law says that you cannot do anything that is unlawful that will either promote a candidate or prevent a candidate from being elected to office.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. And that's paraphrased. I'm not reading the exact
law,
but
but
that's
I've read that before.
essentially it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what unlawful act was done to raise Trump to the ability of being elected to public office? Paying of hush money is not an illegal act.
Not at all.
Okay. Now, in order for Trump to be guilty of this, it would have to be some action that Trump took, correct?
It should be direct action.
Or something that he ordered somebody else to do, correct?
That would still be direct action, yeah. He would have to actively be involved in commission of a crime, knowingly committing a crime, yes. Or even unknowingly, but yes, he would have to be active in it.
Okay. If you haven't been following things closely, there was a penthouse pet also, besides Stormy Daniels, that came forward. That AMI, David Pecker, who is was the CEO owner of AMI. And AMI is the National Enquirer, the Star, Men's Health, and a few other publications. Okay. David Pecker got the rights by AMI to both stories.
Mm-hmm.
The Stormy Daniels story and the Penthouse Playmate story. Or Penthouse Pet, not Playmate Pet. And basically went to Cohen about these stories. Okay. Cohen set up a shell company, not under the instruction of Trump, on his own, set up a shell company and bought the rights to the story about the penthouse pet. Okay.
Mhm.
Now they're trying to twist this as Trump owns the rights, even though it's a shell company that is technically owned by Michael Cohen and not the Trump organization. So, first off, there's nothing illegal on that. What's illegal about any of that? What's unlawful?
The only thing that they're claiming that's unlawful, it isn't the money, it isn't the contract, it's not the payment. It's that their claim, the only claim in this is that Trump willfully and actively essentially told his accountant to list it as a legal payment, which it would not fall under a legal, one of his legal.
That's just falsification of business records.
Right. And that's exactly what this case is about. That's exactly what it
I'm
is.
going into the additional elements that supposedly raise this to a felony.
None of those are, but there is nothing that raises it to a felony.
Okay, and that's why I'm going over this, Michael.
Oh, okay. Okay. No,
We
okay.
have to
I'm listening.
investigate the entirety.
I forget that I'm used to, I've been following it and I understand. I forget sometimes not everyone is as much.
Okay, and this is the argument that people are raising, that these elements, Trump is guilty of these elements. Okay, and you could not find that Trump actually participated in any of these elements. Now, is it unlawful to buy rights to a story and then not publish it?
I'm sorry.
Is it unlawful to buy rights to a story, exclusive rights to a story,
No,
and not publish it?
No, it happens all the time.
Okay. Is it illegal to set up a company or a business to do that?
It's perfectly fine.
Okay, so that's number one. Okay, and this happened with the penthouse pet. With Stormy Daniels, Cohen took it on his own and actually went and got a loan on his own to pay the $130,000 to Stormy Daniels. He was not told to do this by his own admission. He was not told to do this by Donald Trump.
Right.
Okay. He did it in hopes that he would get credit for doing something beneficial for the Trump organization and the Trump campaign.
Right. He wanted retribution or a benefit for just doing his job, which has nothing to do with anything, really.
So again, is paying hush money, i.e. paying money to somebody to agree to a non-disclosure agreement, illegal?
No.
Okay, and again, the answer to that would be no. It is not illegal. Okay, so what was the unlawful part of this that would actually be a violation of New York state election law?
As I said, there isn't.
Okay.
There's nothing that rises to the level of felony.
Okay. So it doesn't need to rise to the level of felony. That has, and we just have to show that there was another crime that these false business records was trying to conceal or aided in the commission of.
No, there isn't one.
Okay. So New York state election law, we cannot find any violation of that as it stands right now. Okay. So let's go to the next element, which is the Federal Elections Commission Act. Okay. Under that act, it states that individuals can contribute a maximum of $7,500 to a single campaign.
Yeah.
Okay. What they are trying to say is that Michael Cohen violated that act when he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 in hush money to assist the Trump campaign.
Right. And of course, that fails because one, she's not running for an elected office. It fails because Trump didn't authorize it. It wasn't Trump's intention or even knowledge. He did it on his own. So again, does not apply.
Exactly. Okay. If anybody's guilty of anything, it would be Cohen would be guilty of violating FECA.
Many. Yeah. And that's why he lost his law license because he is a convicted criminal.
Okay. But Trump is harmless in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he didn't order it. He didn't have knowledge of it beforehand or anything. So now we get to the last element that they could potentially use as the qualifier crime to elevate this to a felony, vice being a misdemeanor. And that is fraudulent tax records. Okay.
Yeah.
So how they went about proving this was that Cohen had to be repaid by Trump. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second here. When have campaign contributions ever been repaid?
They don't. Unless
Oh,
you're talking
wow.
like.
So I guess if that $130,000 had to be repaid, it wouldn't count as a campaign contribution, correct?
The only time that we see campaign contributions being, you can reject them, and in other words, not accept it in the first place, or like with Norman Sue, that's spelled HSU, in case people want to look it up, under the Hillary Clinton's campaign 2016. He's a convicted criminal who donated to her campaign, and she kept the money, and then actually, because he was convicted, because the money he gave her was connected to his crimes, it was embezzlement, she made a donation to a charity. That's the only other time I'm aware of where campaigns refund. It's someone's committed a crime, a heinous crime, a felony usually, and therefore the funds have to go back. Usually they go directly to the victim, or sometimes dispersed to a charity to then be dispersed to those victims. That's it. That doesn't apply in this case.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so we're back to the tax evasion aspect of this. Okay, or the false tax record, not tax evasion, false tax records. Okay. Cohen did not want to file this as reimbursement. He instead wanted to file this as income. And in order to do that, he would face tax penalties. Okay. In other words, he would lose about half of the money. So in order to make him whole, he would need to receive $180,000 times 2, because there's another $50,000 thrown in there for some other tech company that he supposedly paid. So we're at $360,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's committing the tax fraud?
As best as I can tell, it's, again, everything is on the attorney. Got nothing to do with Trump.
Right. Who initiated the tax fraud? Again, Michael Cohen. Okay. Trump didn't order him to. Trump didn't tell him to. Okay. Trump was going to reimburse him the $180,000 that he supposedly spent. And that's only after him and David Pecker had pressured him into doing so, i.e., blackmailed him. Okay. Which they both admitted under oath that they had pressured Trump into repaying that money that Trump didn't authorize payment for to begin with. Okay, so no element holds up as Trump actually being a participant in the criminal act. And they are trying to use those three elements as what raises us up to a felony conviction. And it doesn't work. If anything, if you look at the testimonies, and you can read this all in the transcripts of the trial, it's all there. If you read the testimonies by David Pecker and by Cohen, and even by Stormy Daniels, you will see that essentially what was happening is Trump was getting essentially blackmailed by these three parties. And they are using a crime that was perpetrated against Trump as justification to raise this to a misdemeanor. I raise it from a misdemeanor to a felony.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that's where they're getting their justification, and then you've got the judge telling jurors that he doesn't care if all the jurors agree that Trump violated the same law, or if they all say that he violated different ones. In other words, they didn't have to be unanimous as to what they could be a 4-4-4 split on the three underlying crimes, and it'd still be a guilty verdict.
Well, essentially, the judge, and this was covered last week, but the judge went beyond. There was judicial activism, and that they were essentially doing the same thing we saw with the Colorado judge that said, "Oh, Trump's off the ballot because I don't like Trump," and that judge in Colorado said, "I think of Trump as a criminal," which did not apply and is incorrect. And even now, you could not, even with this conviction, you would not remove Trump from the ballot because it's not applicable. So again, this is a bunch of judges who are putting their personal bias in front of the public. And that's why I think the news of this mistrial, now that the public knows about it, is going to gain a lot more steam. And you're going to see a lot more demand for this. And I think this is going to be something that carries throughout the entire summer. And people aren't going to forget about this. There's going to be a lot of attention on this. There's going to be a lot of discussion on this, no matter what happens with it.
Jan says something here, and she says, as I said earlier, the judge cannot allow people to come forward for the defense whom would have explained all this and proved that there was no crime committed. And yes, the judge did limit some witnesses from coming forward. I think that the Trump defense team didn't push too hard to fight that either. And I think that he did that intentionally. I think the Trump defense team, because as we all know, Trump is actually a very skilled strategist.
Yeah.
Okay. And he knows how to gain popular attention.
He's more in tune with the average American than almost any politician.
Okay. So Trump knew, and he probably ordered his defense team not to fight this too hard. Okay. And there's multiple comments from his defense team and from Trump. Well, we weren't going to win this anyway. We knew we weren't going to win this going into it. Okay.
Yeah,
we
but
knew that we would win this on appeal.
Everyone has agreed on that, though. Everyone agrees on that.
Okay. So that being said, it makes a lot more sense not to put all your eggs into the trial and instead allow the trial to return its guilty verdict. And this is a very common tactic when we're trying to overturn a law that is unjust, where you accept
I don't
guilty
I don't
verdict.
see that. As an example, Dexter Taylor, who many people may or may not be familiar with his case, a gentleman who was a law-abiding citizen in New York State, in Brooklyn, who happened to be black, because I know that's important for some people, doesn't matter, who's a hobbyist, learning how to become a firearms manufacturer. And because New York State hates the Second Amendment, because Kathy Hochul believes she's got more power over your life than the Supreme Court or the Constitution, they arrested him because he had some ammunition that he made. The whole ghost gun thing. And he put up a vigorous, or at least as vigorous as he could, defense in the courts, even though New York State guaranteed him that if he didn't shut up and just say guilty and plead out, they were going to throw him in jail. And he didn't, and he did fight, kind of vigorously as he could. And he too got railroaded, got 10 years for having a hobby. That's it. For exercising the Second Amendment and having a hobby. And he dared to do that in New York State. And he dared to tell New York State that they broke the Constitution. He's going to go into appeal, and I hope people do donate to help him, support him as he goes through the appeal process, probably going to go to Supreme Court. But he had a vigorous, he knew he was going to lose. He still vigorously fought.
Some do, okay? But if you look at the number of witnesses Trump's defense team called, it wasn't very many. Okay. They did offer some rebuttals of prosecution witnesses, okay, or some good cross, but they didn't put forth the vigorous defense that you would actually expect on this, especially when it was their turn to actually put on their case.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So I think they wanted to lose this intentionally because an overturned conviction would look a lot better than a not guilty verdict.
Well, I wouldn't want to risk it myself, but
play the game here, Mike, for just a second.
No, I understand.
Okay.
The politics of it. I understand the political imagery that you're talking about, and that's what we're speaking about. But that just again goes to this entire trial, whether it's a mistrial or not, from start to finish. Everybody's playing politics here. This has nothing to do with law or courts or legislation. This is all politics. And that tells us that America is in a very bad place. That such an obvious political trial is going on. It just shows us how divided and damaged America is right now.
Very true. Very, very true. Okay. And the thing is we have allowed it to come to this. Okay. Because we have allowed ourselves to become so polarized in so many areas that we are literally allowing this and we're falling for it.
Yeah, and people need to vote out of office. They need to vote out Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, the AG for New York, the DA and the AG for New York. They need to be replaced. I would also suggest Governor Kathy Hochul, because she's the one who put Alvin Bragg in. She's very much in the reason why Alvin Bragg and Letitia James are in the positions they're in. And she's not going to ask for their resignation. So she needs to go too, so we can pick better people who can actually prosecute the law, because there are bigger issues that we should be dealing with. Earlier, Hot Chicks mentioned in the comments that, that was Joanna. Joanna mentioned in the comments, there's Epstein Island, there's the Black Book, there's all of those people that we still don't know all their names. We still don't know who may or may not have been involved in abusing children. And there seems to be no political will, no legal will to actually step forward and to prosecute that. That's what we should be seeing everyone working on. That should be where a fight is, not with this. This is political pandering. You know what? Spend the money instead on buying ads. Don't destroy our legal system on this. But
our legal system is being destroyed.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay. And if this precedent is allowed to stand, it is an extremely dangerous one, because it literally means that any misdemeanor could be raised to a felony pretty easily.
It means every president from now on every president will get, on the way out, will be charged.
I'm not just talking about presidents. I'm talking about the general public.
Well, that beyond that abuse is already happening.
You don't need anything anyway. Hey, Vaz, do me a favor. Being that you're down there, if you ever get a chance to actually come across Alvin Bragg, do me a favor, find a Taylor's tape measure and tell him that I will be very happy if you would be able to take a measurement of his neck. I will have him a couple of custom shirts made so that it doesn't look like his friggin' head is going to explode off of his friggin' body. Look at his friggin' thing. It's like a Macy's Day Parade float. Look at that friggin' head on this guy.
He likes that look. Do you see that suit? That is
got it like 6,000 over 400. Look at the size of this guy's head. There's no neck there. It's just one, and he's like a beach ball with a goatee. This friggin' head.
I don't care about his personal looks. He likes it.
No, but every time I look at this guy, I say to myself, he looks like he's like the girl.
Doesn't matter. That's
like
his personal look.
I don't care. He's like the girl with the Willy Wonka thing who ate the blueberries.
I can't comment on that. I don't care about that. It looks like this isn't because he's poor. It's not because he's poor. We know all the properties that he owns.
No, I know he's not poor, but I mean, for God's sake, man, get a friggin' shirt that fits you. There are tailors down there that can make a shirt. I've got a 21-inch neck. I got a big fat guy neck, okay, and a big fat guy head. But I have my shirts tailored for me, so I don't look like my head is like 40 pounds of air pressure in a friggin' basketball.
He likes to look. I don't care about people's looks.
Personally, send him a nice Joseph A. Bank custom fit shirt. Just give me
I guarantee you, he has personal tailors. He wants to look like that. And again, I don't get into it. Who cares how he looks? I care about the fact that he's more than willing to release criminals. I don't care about his health. I absolutely don't care about his health, because he keeps releasing criminals. He's not charging people because of the color of their skin or their gender or their preferences, and he won't charge them with crimes they've committed. That's my problem with Alvin Bragg.
Maybe if his shirt fit right, he'd have good blood flow through his brain and he'd be able to think clearer.
No. No, that's wishful thinking there. No.
Well, I want to, okay, because we're talking about how our justice system is being destroyed. I want to show you guys this. Okay, so what I put up here is from Benton County Sheriff's Department office. Okay, Sheriff Crossgray, on June 7th, he released this press release. Okay, it says on June 6th, 2024, it came to the attention of the Benton County Sheriff's Office that multiple defendants in Benton County Jail were released from custody due to an apparent unavailability of defense counsel. This decision taken by the Superior Court judges is based on a recent Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling pertaining to in-custody defendants without assignment of defense counsel. None of the released inmates directly impacts any Benton County Sheriff's Office case for now, as they were cases from other jurisdictions. However, this directly impacts public safety. The Benton County Sheriff's Office is working in collaboration with the Board of County Commissioners and the Benton County Prosecutor's Office to address this concern. Shortage of public defenders is not only a Benton County issue, but rather affecting all 39 counties in the state. And we want to assure the public that officials are diligently working within the available constraints to ensure that defense attorneys are being provided to defendants in a timely fashion. The Benton County Sheriff's Office is committed to public safety and to doing everything within our power to address the concern. And this is Kennewick, Washington, where this happened.
Right.
Okay. So basically what they're saying is, okay, we'll arrest you, but if we can't get you a defense attorney within a certain time frame, we're going to let you go.
Wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. But that's
okay.
like,
Well, I agree wholeheartedly that everyone deserves a rigorous defense.
one doesn't preclude the other. It's like that's the same argument about bail. Oh, I'm poor, so I shouldn't have bail. No, you should have the right to get bail, and you should have the ability to post a bail, provided that, you know, obviously that you are entitled to it. I don't want terrorists getting bail, but that doesn't. But the fact that you don't, because of your economic choices in your life, does not mean, oh, well, then you don't, there is no bail posted, you get to walk away. That the crime and punishments that are by law, what we have agreed to, that you get to waive them, or charges get to be waived or reduced. I don't agree with that. No, if these people were arrested for a crime, they need to be prosecuted for that crime, period. Give them, you know, if they have to wait to get an attorney, then let them wait, and their time, if they're guilty, their time can be reduced for time served. We have that mechanism in our legal system just for this kind of eventuality. This is crazy.
And if they don't want to be questioned without an attorney being present, then that is their right as well. Okay. It doesn't mean that they still can't sit in a jail cell when they are suspected of being a threat to public safety.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, we just leave them there. You don't. But again, that's the ninth. For people who don't know, the Ninth Circuit Court, which is an appeals court, federal level, they are the most liberal. They're traditionally the most liberal of the appellate courts in the nation. They handle mostly the West Coast. They deal with California, Hawaii. You often see them dealing with that in gun laws a lot. And they vote against the Constitution at least in my interpretation, against the Constitution a lot. A lot. They're very well known for being to go with the most progressive interpretation of everything that they possibly can. And this is another example of it.
Okay, I'm seeing in our chat that
There's a
something
few
about
things.
Dr. Hyam.
Well, there's a couple of cases. One, Peter's mentioning a case where a doctor was being punished because of a potential violation of HIPAA because he was a whistleblower in reference to children.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also some other discussion about the fact that the Netherlands just came out with a study about excess deaths. And it seems, based on the Netherlands study of the vaccines, of the jab, that the jabs increased the number of excess deaths because the number of excess deaths has remained high even as individuals suffering from the pandemic have virtually or relatively little to almost nothing. There is no more pandemic that ended already. That's the WHO, the CDC have ended the pandemic status. It's not even endemic at this point. They've downgraded it massively, and yet the excess deaths haven't stopped.
Another thing that they aren't seeing is they expected that the coronavirus, COVID, would be a seasonal thing returning every year, and we're not seeing that either.
Yeah, which is probably the best thing. And we have seen since the mandates were out there, since many people were coerced to take these jabs, like in New York State, where Kathy Hochul fired 34,000 doctors and nurses, also police officers and fire department, civil servants. She fired them because they didn't obey her mandate to violate their personal
same thing
choice.
with service personnel.
Yeah, Biden did the same thing. And we're finding out now that we've seen documentation, several of these jabs have increased the number of side effects. Some have pulled their formulas and replaced them or changed them. The studies that are starting to come in are showing that there's obviously that Joe Biden lied when he told the public no side effects, completely safe, no transmission, and will keep you alive.
And the amount of vaccine-related injuries is increasing.
Yeah. So that's a recent study
associated with the COVID vaccines.
Right. And that's in the comments. Some of the people are mentioning that. And there is a study that came out this week from the Netherlands that has confirmed all of these things, which is probably most people haven't heard about it because it was roundly pretty much shut down by the mainstream news media. They didn't want to talk about it. It's kind of like what we're seeing right now with a little bit of a segue. Did you see the economic news today? You guys see that?
No.
What about you, Frank?
I paid $2.49 for a dozen eggs. That's all the economic news I needed to say.
While that's over 100% increase from 2021. No. What I'm talking about is if you're looking at the news right now, and most people have seen this already, that the news is out and they're trying to convince everyone that Joe Biden has done a fantastic job with the economy.
I did see some blurbs on that.
Yeah, the job numbers for May are phenomenal. 277,000 jobs. Joe Biden is a genius. Bidenomics is working. Yeah, they left out something. The unemployment rate is 4%. 4%. That is an increase. The unemployment rate is going up under Joe Biden, steadily and continuously moving higher. There are less Americans working today than in 2021. Well, correction, 2022, after everyone came back from work. Let's be fair. So
now let's also go into one other factor, and this is something that I did know about on this.
yeah,
The majority of the new jobs that, quote unquote, the Biden administration has been creating have been going to illegal immigrants.
I haven't heard that. I haven't seen any information on that. I can say that when he says there's 15 million jobs, that has been debunked by every mainstream news media, which is surprising because this is the left. Every mainstream news media outlet has debunked this and said that is a lie. That is not correct. In addition to that, the fact that we saw these numbers move up is just a monthly aberration. Happens a lot in the summer, but we are actually trending down. It's part of inflation going higher, that we're having less people work. This is just a one-off, but they needed something to point to. So they said, we're going to point at the jobs numbers so that they don't have to mention as the headline unemployment at 4%. And this is coming directly from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I did a short on it, and someone said, Mike, you don't cite your sources. It's the government, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's on their page, straightforward. Yes, unemployment is higher. Just because it's not the headline doesn't mean it's not happening. And that's the proof that Bidenomics is not working. You have it here, though. Migrant workers are, well, then, and that's taking away from jobs from the American people. And those are temporary jobs.
Hence why we're seeing these quote unquote strong job numbers, yet we have a rise in unemployment.
Well, it's a seasonal aberration, and that's normal. We do see this at this time of year. We tend to see it. And yes, it's because of farming. It's because of migrant workers at farms. Happens a lot. I think the best way to show people what's going on with the economy, because I know Biden's been saying Bidenomics is working. Bidenomics is working. It's fantastic. Okay. This is from Google. Anyone can type this in yourself. Go to Google, type in U.S. median income 2020. The median income for the United States, if you're going by Google's AI, they will tell you it's $41,535.
It's gone down.
I'm about to get to that. Yeah. But not only that, but see, that's Google's AI says the census said it's 41,535. According to the census, which is right here, on their income and poverty United States 2020, the median household income was $67,521. Google's AI is lying. And you can see this because their AI is giving you a number. The very first search item given to you by Google's algorithm says, in fact, nope, the number 67,000, not 41. Now, regardless, whichever number you want to go with, the actual current amount, is, I want people to remember the numbers we just went over. The average income in America, I know there's a lot going on this page, is right here. It's $39,552. So no matter how you want to count this, either from the numbers from the United States Census or from Google's AI, which is making it a lower number, so it's making it better for the Biden economy, Bidenomics, we're still at 39,000, which means you're worse off today than 4 years ago from the government itself. Even if you don't want to look at, even if you're saying, I don't care about unemployment, doesn't matter, it's all great. No matter what data you want to look at, we are worse off today than we were 4 years ago. And that's because of Bidenomics. That's just a fact. But it's being hidden from the public. Because every headline, the Washington Post in particular, they were the first ones I pointed out at. They're all talking about jobs number, jobs. The jobs number were high. What about unemployment? That's the only thing that the average person, you ask them about, well, what's the health? They want to know, they know what the unemployment rate is. They judge presidents based on the unemployment rate. They know this. They're lying to the public. They're hiding this from the public. And I think that's insulting. It's a violation. It's an abuse of the powers given to news media to report to the public and the obligation they have to fairly report the news that's affecting people's lives because they're trying to fortify the 2024 election. They're hiding something that would absolutely impact the re-election of Democrats, in particular Joe Biden. And since they know this is a negative for that campaign and they want to support that campaign, they're hiding this information. The public doesn't realize unemployment is going higher, and it's only going higher under Joe Biden. That is evil in my mind.
Okay, I was trying to, because Debt Clock has a time machine. It can go backwards and forwards.
Yeah, but they don't have.
The problem is it does not show the mean income.
No, it changes. The reason why you can't go back, as the Debt Clock has changed, the focus of what people pay attention to, political junkies, what we pay attention to, changes. So in 2020, the median income wasn't one of the numbers that they would use. It is today because Joe Biden's trying to say it's doing great. And if you look at the Debt Clock, you'll see that we're up roughly $8,000 versus the year 2000, which is their benchmark, which is true. We are up from 2000, but we're down from 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a catch-22 with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a political junkie. Yes, I pay attention to the numbers.
Okay, so back to the jobs going to immigrants.
Yep.
Here's another one. Immigrants get 100,000 new jobs in 1 month. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can go back over and there's all kinds of things that show this.
Well, my problem's not so much with the legal migrants. I don't care. Legal migrants, fine. Illegal aliens, which are not the same thing. I just interviewed a guy yesterday, Gonzalo Duran, running for the New York 15th Congressional District. And I interviewed him, and he conflated, and he did the same thing we see with Democrats. Well, if you're getting asylum, you're the same thing as a legal migrant. No. If you entered into America illegally without authorization, you're a criminal. If you ask for authorization after that, you're still a criminal. Illegal migrants are a problem. I have a problem with them. They shouldn't be able to work. And as far as I knew, except for the 30,000 that got a waiver from the Biden administration, those were Venezuelans, as I recall. They got a waiver from the Biden administration through executive order. Otherwise, it's illegal for them to work in this country.
Mm-hmm.
How can we have 100,000 of them working? That's a crime.
Right.
It's a massive crime. And the fact that they're getting jobs, is the reason why we're getting more and more of them coming in. And when we get more and more of them coming in, we're also getting more and more crime, which is why New York State is considering that maybe, even though we've got 175,000 illegal aliens that entered into New York City alone, that 175,000 are breaking New York State, costing $5 billion a year for infrastructure, even though they are responsible for more and more crimes and violent crimes at that case. They're only considering that maybe we should not be an open, New York State should not be a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. Maybe we should actually enforce the laws as they exist. It's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. And you're telling me it, and we're seeing our jobs go to this too. This is insane. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
Well, I can tell you, okay, as you know, I live in extreme upstate New York. Okay. I go much further north. I'm in Canada. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing a lot of the migrants that were, or illegals that were being put in New York City are getting farmed out up here.
Well, New York's been trying to quietly, and there's been actually lawsuits about this. I think 32 of the counties of New York State are in a lawsuit currently with New York City because Eric Adams is trying to ship out illegal aliens from New York City forcefully and without consent to send those illegal aliens into upstate New York. And the counties in upstate New York are saying, we don't want them. We didn't ask for them. You keep them. They came to you. They stay with you. And so they're in court about that. It's crazy.
Okay. I live in a very, very, very small town. Okay. And I'm going to show you. Let me get it up here.
Frank is so quiet tonight, folks.
He is
quiet. He's still mad from before we went live. He had issues today, so he's still mad about that.
I'm just aggravated.
Okay. I know.
So, and I'm doxing myself, so get over it. Okay. So this is literally the size of my town.
What, the main street?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have one main street. I don't know if that defines itself as a town.
Okay. So, a few doors down from me, the state police had to be called in because a group of illegal immigrants decided that they were going to set up their camp on my neighbor's lawn.
Wait a minute. What do you mean camp? What camp?
They had set up a camp.
A tent. They walked in, put down a tent.
Yes.
Started up a fire and wanted to roast marshmallows. Leave
until the state police were called in to take them away.
I'm surprised they weren't shot.
Okay. Yeah.
I had to shot them.
They did. They were refusing to leave. They set up a camp, basically a camp. I don't know if they got tents set up or all that good stuff. But they were basically lounging around on this guy's lawn, just hanging out.
That's a good way to get shot.
Absolutely refused to leave.
That's a good way to get shot, and I would have shot them.
Mm-hmm.
And legally,
in New York State, you wouldn't have got away with it.
Kind of. Depends on how the bodies lay.
It's not a castle doctrine state, and unless they were advancing upon you, you still have the first responsibility to back up in New York. And that's then
you have an obligation in the state of New York to attempt to retreat. And if you cannot retreat, then you can use deadly force.
Depends on how the blood trail looks afterwards. There's time. Can make that work. I'm not saying that anyone should do that. Hypothetical thoughts there. But,
Did you go to the Frank Johnson School of Self-Defense?
hey, I'm just saying.
You sounded like me for a minute there.
Well, yeah. Think it through before you shoot, folks. Just you know what the response time is. Think it through first. But
how long did it take the cops to respond to this encampment? 2 weeks?
No, they're there the same day.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't know the full response time. I just know that it happened.
I'm just confused about something.
And they tried the homeowner tried multiple times, the property owner tried multiple times to get these people to leave, and they absolutely refused to leave. And they finally had to resort to calling state police in.
Okay, Mike, I know that your community is a bustling and busy and enviable, huge community of people.
It is.
All 20 of you.
Some would say it's metropolitan.
What I understand that it may be an upgrade for some of these illegal aliens. Why in the hell would they go there?
Because they're getting shipped up here.
Yeah, because that would be like the only reason
they're getting. Okay, that yellow highway that you saw going through the center of town, that's Highway 22. Okay. There are no Greyhound bus stops on that highway. Yet today on my way home, I saw a Greyhound bus traveling that road. I've never seen one there in the entire 12 years that I've been here.
That says something. And this is why we have more crimes. This is why we have problems with our infrastructure. This is why we have more people who are being harmed. And let me be clear. That doesn't mean every illegal alien is a violent criminal. They are all criminals. Let's be very clear about that. They all broke the law. They willfully violated our law. So they are criminals. That's not a question. Are they all bad people? Are they all violent criminals? No, not necessarily. But enough of them are. And even if it's like 1 in 10, we have 175,000. That means that's 17,000 bad guys. Call it, cut in half. Say it's 1 in 20. Then you're still looking at somewhere around 8,500 bad guys. These are huge numbers on top of anything else happening in this nation. This is insane. And the best answer we can get from New York State, as I just showed you, is they're going to consider whether or not we should close, not that they're going to actually do anything. They're going to consider closing the border. And Biden has slowed down the number of illegals entering America. Instead of 8,000 illegal aliens entering America per day, he wants it to shrink down to 2,500. And for people who don't know what's the difference, then
you missed that too a little bit.
What?
I think you may have also misinterpreted that a little bit. It's not that they're going to stop letting in.
No.
They're only going to process up to a certain number a day now, down from a number of that they were willing to process previous. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as they were processing 8,500 a day or something,
8,500 on average. Yeah.
Right. Well, that doesn't mean they're not letting them in.
Actually, when in my understanding, in the executive order is, if you read it, it's a bit vague. It's a bit vague.
Right. Because I look at it like this, like, okay, the first 2,500 of you, all right, you guys go into that building over there and we'll get you processed. The rest of you, well, there's the desert. Just keep walking.
Well,
It's
as
still
I understand,
it's the same way that people misinterpret the word deportation.
I understand, but
You're deported on paper. It doesn't mean you're removed from the country. If
Okay.
you say, "Oh, this guy was deported 6 times," well, he kept going back and coming back. No, he just kept rounding up in court.
okay,
It didn't mean that he left.
no, I understand. I can only tell you, as I understood, and I've read the executive order. It authorizes the entry of 2,500 illegal aliens. Again, these are criminals. These are people who do not have authorization, did not go through any of the proper vetting processes, and they entered. And 2,500 a day are allowed by Biden. That's 1.2 million per year, which is insane. That's in any other presidency, that would be peak levels of illegal immigrants entering America. To Joe Biden, that's the slowdown. Now, anyone above and beyond that, theoretically, according to the executive order, if they get caught, then they're to be removed or put on a list, and they will be removed from the United States and not allowed to go through the process again. Here's the caveat in that. There's a big carve out in that. Again, mainstream media didn't want to talk about this part. There is also, by the same executive order, a notice from the Biden administration. Every office of ICE, the immigration
Naturalization.
right, basically,
When we were kids, it was INS.
INS,
It was Immigration Naturalization Service. Now it's ICE.
Yeah, I forget. I always forget what it means. But the immigration department, essentially, they have to put up in every single one of their offices in 13 languages a notification that says if the illegal alien who just got caught because they're number 2,501, they get caught and they're being interviewed so that they can get kicked out. They're getting processed so they can be kicked out and told they can never come back into America. If, as they do that, they shake, if they don't speak at all, then they will be, ICE has to assume that that means that they are afraid of going back to their home country. Therefore, they qualify for asylum and they must go through the asylum system and get to stay in America. This is how Biden gets around what you're mentioning. It's, so we still can get 8,500 illegal aliens per day. It's just that the others are just afraid. See, he was shaking. He didn't answer when I asked him a question. Not only do they have to have it in signs posted throughout the entire office so that they can see this is the exact way to game and cheat the system, they will also have videotape telling them how to cheat the system that has to be played as they get interviewed by ICE to be deported. So all the illegal alien has to do is read a sign in one of 13 languages and or watch a video that says, shut up, shake a little bit, and you get to enter into America. That's it. And this is supposed to be, this is Biden's idea of protecting the southern border. This is what Kamala Harris, I'm sure she came up with this idea because she is the southern border czar. Remember that? Most people forgot. News media forgot. They don't talk about it anymore. This is their plan to help America, to protect America. Is we're going to give them every way to get in. He just needs something that he can put on a poster and say, see, I'm protecting America. Vote Democrat, vote Democrat. Doesn't matter that nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. It's insulting.
Vote Democrat. I'm protecting America. I took action.
Yeah, this is the same party that during the passage of Obamacare was running ads in Mexico in Spanish, telling people that if they got across the border illegally, where to go and what to do to sign up for free healthcare.
Hell, we
in
give.
Mexico.
Yeah, well, currently,
They ran ads in Mexico encouraging people to come here illegally to drain our healthcare system.
yeah, they
Well, not
currently.
only that, it increases the numbers that are applying for Obamacare so that it doesn't look so dismal.
So when we sit and we talk about all of this shit about they're gonna let 25. Do you ever wonder why I'm never I'm never surprised, and I don't care, because it's the same crap every day. It's the same crap every day. They're abusing our country to the point of destruction, and they're putting the burden on the taxpayers of this country, and half of us are too damn sleepy to open our eyes and realize what the hell is going on. And it's just the same friggin' thing constantly. And I will say this though. I will say that I have noticed, because while you guys pay attention to the news, you pay attention to this, you pay attention to that, I pay attention to the culture. I pay attention to the people. I watch, I observe, I spend time in places most people would very not even want to go to, in circles. I'm noticing a little bit of a resurgence lately of Americanism,
Oh,
of
there's more than
of the appreciation of American exceptionalism. All right, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. Before we got on live on the air tonight, Lori and I went up to a car show that they have here up in Mint Hill. First Friday of every month, they have a car show. This was probably the 6th or 7th one that Lori and I have gone to, and it's always in the same parking lot. And usually by the time we get over there, half the parking lot, it runs from 5 to 9. Half the parking lot is empty, half the parking lot is full. Of the half that's full, it's classic cars. The other half that's full are the people who drove there to go to the car show and just look at the classic cars. It's been that way for about the last 6 or 7 shows that we've been through, where the lot was half full. We went there tonight. We were lucky to get a parking spot. The place was jammed. The place was jammed. There were people everywhere. More cars there tonight than have been there in the last year and a half's worth of shows. Cars had American flags on them. There's a lot of red hats running around out in the parking lot. There were people of every ethnic group walking around, shaking hands and smiling, taking pictures with one another, bullshitting about their cars and everything. It was just a beautiful thing to see, because it's the American car culture is something that I think we in America, that, Europeans, Americans don't have a heritage. No, we have the automobile. All right. Yeah, maybe it was invented by Daimler-Benz way back when, but Americans, we're the ones who made the car industry what the car industry is. All right. Without America, the car industry wouldn't exist. That's our baby. The automobile is our baby. And when you go to an American car show and you see things that you didn't even think were possible, that's pure Americanism. To see the car show like that today, I saw a resurgence of American, of pride, of a lot of Vietnam vets out there wearing their hats, veterans of all stripes wearing their colors, bikers over there everybody getting along. It was just a beautiful thing. Adults, kids, and everything.
sadly.
I'm seeing something come back into the culture that's been gone for quite a long time.
Well, they are
I don't
definitely.
think it's coincidental.
No, I don't think it's coincidental. That's why we see so much of an attack on America coming from, if you look at the Acolyte, they hate America. They hate the constitutional republic that we have, the Constitution. They hate that. If you listen to Jamal Bowman, who's running for the New York 16th district. He's a member of the Progressive Caucus. He's a progressive. He's the guy who pulled the alarm for
Oh yeah.
During Congress. He pulled the fire alarm. Yeah, and the guy who denied he did it until everyone pulled out the videotape and said, "That's your face right there." Yeah, he's running.
Then he said he did it accidentally.
Looking dead at the sign that says fire alarm. He's another example of how much the left hate America. Did you know that Jamal Bowman is now claiming, he was on with Charlemagne the God, and in that interview, he's claiming that running against him, the fact that he has opponents, Jamal Bowman, the fact that he has opponents is white supremacy. It's MAGA. And of course, MAGA is interchangeable with white supremacy somehow. Of course it is, which is really insulting. He's a member of Congress. He's a bad member of Congress. He's a bad member of Congress that willfully committed crime, which under the definition by Democrats is insurrection. Interrupting the ability of Congress to do its job. That's insurrection according to the left. That's Jamal Bowman. And he thinks, so it's not because he's a member of Congress that, people run against members of Congress on a regular basis. No. It's, you have to be a white supremacist and you have to be MAGA. And in other words, you have to be evil to run against Jamal because he's black. He also thinks that he's the first black man to run for the New York 16th, which means
we proved that wrong last week.
Yeah, Adam Clayton Powell and
that's right.
Rangel.
The washed up, I guess you could call her a comedian, Chelsea Handler.
Oh, Miss Black Men, you're black. She was talking to 50 Cent, her ex-boyfriend, and she's like, "I'll have sex with you if you don't vote for Trump." Yeah, I remember her.
Well, it wasn't only that she said she's going to use her body to persuade him to vote for Biden, but she said, you're black, right?
Yes, she did say that.
You can't vote for a Republican. You're black.
Yes, she did say that. I remember very clearly. I did a whole show on that.
Yeah, read it this week.
She said it again?
Yeah, she said it again.
She didn't get enough of a blowback. Okay, I miss it. She's an entertainer and a stupid one at that. I missed. She said it again, that somehow black people don't have the agency and independence to pick a political party.
Now, let me ask you a question, but isn't that interfering with the vote?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it wouldn't necessarily be extortion. Extortion,
intimidation.
You're going to take something from someone if they don't do something they want. But she's, in essence, prostituting herself.
Well, it would be prostitution, but it would also be intimidation.
She could be arrested for solicitation. She made an offer to exchange sex for something she values, and that's a vote for Joe Biden.
Yes, but it's also intimidation because she is saying that there will be a punishment placed upon an individual for not taking political actions.
Yeah, she'll withhold sex if you vote for Trump.
Right, or also using her influence. You voted for Trump, you're black, something is wrong with you. I'm going to use my star power to make that known, to denigrate you. Therefore, that's intimidation. You vote the way I want, or I'm going to go on social media. I'm going to go on TV to all these entertainment circles and negatively portray you. That's intimidation.
There's a video that came out this week
that's evil.
Literally shows just how uninformed these people are. Okay, I'm going to bring it up right now, and we'll do some commentary over the top of it as we go through it. Okay, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Lady MAGA.
Yeah.
All right, listen. You guys come. I'm gonna have to get off of the screen. I'm gonna join up with you guys in the chat, but I'll catch up with you guys in a couple of minutes. You watch this. I'm going to log in on the phone.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, Lady MAGA is a trans Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Okay. And she confronted this person that was pro Palestine. Okay. So that sets us up. Okay. And mind you, we do not have the copyright on this. We are using this fair use because this does apply to many of the things that we've talked about on this show over the time that we've been on it.
No, it's newsworthy. It's newsworthy.
Okay.
It's educational, informative.
Right.
We have every right. Go ahead.
Okay. So here we go. Do queers for Palestine understand what they support?
And so I did a study abroad in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine.
Would you say you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel?
Pro-Palestine.
As a gay man, I would be punished and or put in prison or killed if I were openly gay in Palestine. How do you react to that?
Notice her reaction.
Well, she's shocked because she thinks Hamas is somehow left-leaning. He's
Right.
absolutely correct. They will kill
He
him.
is.
Her,
Okay.
excuse me, lady. They'll kill Lady MAGA in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Now,
Mhm.
notice her response when she comes back.
I didn't know that. So
It is illegal to be gay in Palestine. You are punished by
is it
prison
the
or
same
death.
as Israel?
No, Israel has gay pride. Israel is completely open to lesbian and gay people.
Now,
Okay.
notice, okay, she's anti-Israel. So the first thing she brings up when she's confronted with this is, isn't that true of Israel? And Lady MAGA says literally, no. Israel's supportive of gays. And trans and so forth. In fact, they have a Pride Week, or they are pro Pride.
Well, this is, you know what this is exemplifying? That she's only, you can see this woman, this pro Hamas woman, she hasn't actually done any homework herself. She's
Exactly.
only going by the headline she's heard. And
Mhm.
well, Hamas must be good because Colombia is protesting in favor of Hamas, and Colombia is also in favor of LGB. So therefore, Hamas must be good for gays. She's never actually done any independent research whatsoever. Otherwise, she would know that almost the entire Middle East, especially Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iran, Hamas, and Yemen, are all will kill gays on site.
Yep.
On
Exactly.
site.
Okay. Now we're going to go into this some more because there's a lot more here yet.
So that's
Palestine puts them in prison or kills them. You weren't aware of that?
where- I was not aware of that. No. So that does pose an interesting aspect.
Have you seen the Queers for Palestine movement? It's a very common movement, but I
Stupid
don't
one.
see any Muslims for queer movements.
Yes. That's where it gets gray, right? Like
No,
that's
it's not
where
great.
I
Well,
feel
well,
like
for
Yeah, and that's
It's not
exactly.
great at
She
all.
tries to justify her position by saying, well,
No, it's a one-way street.
Yeah.
It's only a one-way street. It's not, there is no gray about this. When we know it is documented, we have seen this, and the Taliban has done this, Hezbollah has done this, Hamas has done this, the Houthis have done this, Iran does this on a regular basis. When we see them take individuals they believe, doesn't even have to be confirmed, they believe might be gay, and they throw them off of buildings, which has been documented for decades, there is no gray about that. That's
Right.
not a gray line. That's a fact.
Okay. So now, again, pay attention to the woman's response.
me, it's not gray. I am fearful of Islam because there is no Islamic country on earth that embraces me as a gay man.
so okay. So maybe I'm confused because
You are.
Israel which is still an Islam country, right?
No.
Never.
So-
Never was. That's
exactly.
She is ignorant. She's
Exactly.
massively ignorant.
Okay. She is literally been puppetized.
Propagandized. Yeah.
Yeah.
She has no
Okay.
idea what she's talking about.
Right. She pays attention to the headlines, the talking points, but does no research for herself. Okay. She is in the latest fad protest. And that's literally what it is.
No, Jewish.
Okay.
So Israel's Jewish, Palestinians are Islamic.
Okay. And so I did.
Okay. So
And wait a minute.
literally,
She studied abroad.
yeah.
What was
In
she
Palestine.
doing? What was she doing? That she doesn't know
supposedly
these
studied
answers.
abroad in Palestine.
How can you? I don't understand. That woman had her head in the sand the entire time. Because I forgot that the very first thing she says is, "Oh yeah, I studied abroad."
Mhm.
Then how can you not know this? These aren't secrets at all. They're well documented publicly. It is a well-known fact. There is no one's hiding it. I don't. That's either she is absolutely a moron, which means I don't know how she got to study abroad because she's a moron, or she's willfully ignorant. In other words, she's actively blocking it out of her mind, the truth.
Right. Well, okay, I'm going to bring this up again. Here, okay. Now I'm going to leave it froze right where it's at. So I did study abroad in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine. And she
Okay.
didn't even know that Israel was Jewish
Okay,
and
now,
not Islamic.
I'm going to give her the benefit of doubt that she was not in Israel, nor was she in Gaza. By the way, there is no such thing as Palestine. Doesn't exist. Has never existed. So sorry, no, she wasn't in Palestine. There is no Palestine.
Well,
Gaza.
actually, I was getting into that here in just a second too.
Yeah. So
I don't want to go too long on this, but
yeah, she's obviously, you can see the propaganda right there. I was in Palestine. No, you weren't. It never existed. You were on some other planet, some other dimension, but you weren't on Earth. So I am assuming the way she says that, she was studying abroad. So I take it she was in some other nation, which most likely for an American citizen means Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Which is relatively safe for Americans and has a lot of Westerners. She was probably in Saudi Arabia. She wasn't in Iran. They won't allow Americans in. Egypt is possible, but unlikely. It ain't Jordan. It ain't Syria. It ain't Afghanistan. It's not Iraq. You're not studying in any of those countries. And she's a woman, so absolutely not.
Right.
So I'm assuming, but even if you're in Saudi Arabia or any other Middle Eastern nation, the rules stay the same, and everyone is hyper aware about Israel being Jewish, Gaza being Palestinian, and that Muslims kill gays. This is like the most open secret. You can't even call it a secret. It's an open fact.
No.
That's why it always boggles my mind when I see these kids at Harvard or one of these colleges, and they're like, "Oh, we're on the left and we're queers for whatever." And it's like, you guys realize that every progressive in America, the Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, will kill you in a heartbeat because of your beliefs. In a heartbeat. They actively pursue people with those kinds of ideologies and kill them first. I mean, they'll kill every American. They don't like that women read. They don't like that women have jobs. Say, well,
No,
they
they
will kill you for that, but LGBT in a heartbeat. I don't understand this. How are people that ignorant, Mike?
Because they pay too much attention to the talking heads, or they are just in it for the popularity. Okay, it is the fad protest of the week. And that's what it amounts to.
But look, popularity is not worth it. And to get yourself and others killed, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Following a fad, and yes, I do believe the pro-Hamas movement is a fad. People want to disagree with me on that. Fantastic. Put it in the comments. I'll tell you, I have no problem explaining why I think it's a fad.
Oh, it is a fad.
Yeah. And putting people's lives in danger for a fad, I don't know. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. It is literally an anti-Semite fad. Okay. And they call us Nazis, but yet they are the ones that are being anti-Semite. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay. Now going back to the immigration problem just for a second. I know how we can solve the problem of housing people waiting for asylum.
I do too. Follow the law. Don't let them in.
Put them on these.
Oh,
Put them
what,
on
on Tinder?
international waters on these until that's their time for their hearing. And have the hearing on the ship. And if the hearing allows them in, then they get to come in. If not, then they stay on the ship and get transferred off to back to their own country.
Here's my thing, and you know what's going to happen. Here's the problem with that, because I've had this argument with a couple of libertarian friends of mine, Larry Sharp in particular. Larry, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. We've talked about immigration. He wants to have like a new Ellis Island. Pick another Ellis Island or redo Ellis Island itself. They can stay on there, and then they can come into America as they get vetted through that system. It's a very wonderful ideal. Your idea is put them on a former cruise ship, an older cruise ship, let them sit in international waters, and we'll let them in. I don't agree with either of those because, one, you have the bleeding heart liberals, the same people who are saying there is no such thing as a border. Everybody is a human being and there is no such thing as an illegal alien. Let them in. Every country has illegal alien laws. Every country. That is the correct legal term. Every country has laws on migration.
And Japan has the strictest.
I know. So they're wrong in every sense of the word. But those same bleeding hearts that are opening up the borders and letting these people in that are breaking the system, that are endangering people's lives, as we've talked about earlier, they're going to see the people on Ellis Island. They're going to see the people in those cruise ships, and they're going to say, we've got to bring them in. We've got to bring them in. It's not humanitarian to leave them there. We didn't say that they're going to be, Lord of the Flies, and they're going to have to, fight for survival. This isn't, Escape from New York. You're going to have to do Escape from Ellis Island. We'll give them food. We'll give them housing. If they're in a cruise ship, I mean, come on, those things are built for people to live long term. So they're not going to be punished here. But the bleeding hearts, the same people at Harvard and UPenn, MIT, the same people who can't define what genocide is or say that they're against it, they're going to be the ones who are going to say, bring them in. And to me, that encourages more illegal aliens to come because they know you let in one ship, all of the ships have to come in. You open up the door at Ellis Island for one group of people, everyone's coming in. My answer is close the border. You don't come in. If you get caught, You get deported. You're never allowed back. You come back again. We will put a jail, a prison off of American soil somewhere. You will go to jail there. And when you get out of your jail sentence from being off of American soil for breaking our law, you're going to get sent back to your home country again. And we just keep doing that. We have laws. We need to enforce them. And bleeding hearts do not make an exception for the law. I don't care who it is.
No. And I do agree that there are certain people that do have need to request asylum. But by international law, they are to do so in the first country of opportunity to do so. Okay. And in most cases, because of where we are located, that first country is not the United States. If you're seeking asylum from Mexico or Canada, yeah, we would be.
If you're not in the Caribbean, Mexico, or Canada, then with one other, the Samoan Islands, middle of the Pacific. Okay,
Yeah.
So if you're not from the Samoan Islands, Mexico, the Caribbean, or Canada, there is no way in hell America can be your first country. Cannot.
And I could potentially see Russia and possibly China.
You can make the argument for them, yeah, depending on which
because
side.
of where they're located, if they migrated
To Alaska.
right.
Okay. You could make that argument. I don't think it's a great argument, but you can make that argument. Fine. You want gray area? There's your gray area. You're in Russia, you're in China, you're trying to go to Alaska, the Aleutian Islands, the Aleutian Strait. There's your gray area. We can argue about that. But other than that, there is no country in the world that can point and say, oh, America's our first stop. You're nowhere near us. You are thousands upon thousands of miles somewhere else, and there's another country in between us and that and you, guaranteed. Right. It's ridiculous.
Like I said, there are some Southeast Asian countries, but the majority of them, their first country of opportunity would actually be Australia.
Depending on how far south you're going, but most likely you're talking about the Micronesian islands, you're talking about the Philippines, the Samoan Islands. Again, you might be talking about Japan, Korea, Thailand. There's note India, depending on which way you're going. You're running into countries other than America. Long before you get to America,
right?
You're going to hit another country.
Okay. So on that side, really, the only one that I could actually justify would be a Russian coming from Siberia.
Yeah, Novogorsk. If you're Novogorsk and that region,
or if you're on Big Diomede.
Yeah.
Because you got Big Diomede and Little Diomede, and literally there's, in the wintertime, you can literally walk across the ice from one island to the other.
Right. So that would be the Chuchuts. That would be the Novogorsk, that area, that region, right above China. Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
so I can see that. Jan makes the point of Cuba.
That's Caribbean. I said Caribbean.
Right. Okay, so the Caribbean islands, Mexico, Canada.
That's it. And Samoa, if you're going to Alaska, if you're going to Hawaii.
If you're coming from Iceland, your first country of opportunity would be Canada. Coming from Greenland, again, first country of opportunity would be Canada.
Actually, no.
Or other countries.
In Iceland, the first country would be Greenland. Then it would be Canada. From Greenland, the first one would be Canada.
Right. Okay, so, and then anywhere in the Middle East, there's all kinds of first countries of opportunity.
Yeah. Same thing for Europe. Same
Okay,
thing for
yeah.
Africa.
Right.
Same thing for South America. No matter where else you're going to run into another country before you can hit America. No matter how you want to draw the lines, you can't. You have to hit another
Of
country.
the countries that we have named thus far, I could see potentially some Russians claiming asylum.
And they do.
I could see possibly some Cubans claiming asylum.
Which they famously do.
And I could see Mexicans claiming asylum.
Which we famously go through a lot. Yeah. And also Haiti. Can't leave out Haiti. They're currently going through their own war with the gangs taking over the government.
But those are the only 4 countries right now where I could see us accepting any asylees.
Yes.
Okay. Any other country, no. They have other countries.
If you're following the law, yes, that's it.
Well, if you're following international law.
Yeah. If you're following the law, international law, UN law, yeah, that would be it. But that same UN and those same progressives, the Democratic Socialists of America, think that we should be taking people in from Angola. We should take in people from China. We should take people in from Yemen. We should take people in from war zones around the world. And they can't answer the question. Well, their answer to the question, why should we take these people? Because they're human beings, which doesn't answer my question of why.
No,
we have no obligation. There is no requirement. And at the moment, we have enough problems here taking care of our own people and the asylum seekers nearest us. Why do we need to increase the burden? Well, but they're in the Middle East. I don't care.
And that is actually a part of belonging to the UN is your agreement to take asylees from countries that are near you. It doesn't say that you have to take asylees from all over the world.
And countries don't do it on a regular basis. Try and go Poland cut off many people coming from Syria and Jordan going into Poland, and they said no and shut down their border and said they're not taking them anymore.
Right.
Because you can. Because it's not just an American thing. Countries around the world say, no, you can't come in.
No, Japan doesn't take any asylees. Okay. In fact, Japan, you can get tourist visas, and that's it to go to Japan.
That's like most of the Nordic countries. They're very, very xenophobic in those countries.
Okay. If you are invited, by a Japanese company, if you're invited, you might get a temporary work visa that is in short duration to Japan, but that's it.
Yeah. Same thing with the Nordic states. In many of the Nordic countries, they will say they are happy to have you stay as a guest in Sweden, in Norway, in Switzerland. You can go there and spend all your money. The second you are broke and you can't afford to live there anymore, they will kick you out of their country.
Yep.
Because
you're not allowed any government assistance. You're not allowed any government
aid, support.
Right. Government support.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not protected by the same like our Bill of Rights.
Yeah. No, you don't have any rights. You're a guest in their country, and you are only the guest in their country as long as you can afford to be in their country.
And if you are suspected, you don't even have to be proven guilty. If you are suspected of any type of nefarious activity, it doesn't even have to be criminal. You are immediately deported.
By the way, Dal. Oh, Dal says Japan started to. Oh, they're letting Kurds into Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see that going well.
No.
I haven't heard about the Kurd. Mind you, the Kurds, most of the Kurds are very well. They're more closely aligned with the United States because of President G.W. Bush. They love him still. They love Republicans because of what Republicans did to protect them in the war. So I can see the Kurds being very much more aligned with America, but to see them go to Japan, I don't even know why you would want to go. The culture shock is crazy. I mean, at least in America, you can find pockets of Kurdish individuals, ancestry in America that you could live around to help you assimilate and become an American. You're going to Japan, there's nothing that's close to the same. Even if you're a Kurdish Christian, that's not even like being Shinto religion in Japan. It's just, I don't even know what that's like. That's crazy. So I'm not surprised there's a bunch of crime about that.
So right. So like we said, okay, unless these countries that we've mentioned, okay, unless you were seeking asylum from one of those countries, your asylum should instantly be denied.
Should. And in most countries would.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so we're closing in on the 2.5 hour mark, so we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Okay, folks, as Frank mentioned earlier, okay, go check out our website, l1f.us. Frank's got a new article up there today about the strikers that he was talking about last week. And we are working on some things behind the scenes that will be showing up there soon. Okay, with that, while you're there, stop by the membership page and sign up for a membership. Okay, it's only $15 a year. But folks, that really helps us out. Okay. Between our website costs and the stuff that we need to keep that running and doing this segment every week and other things, it gets expensive. Okay, it's not cheap. And all the help that we can get from you guys, whether it's helping us spread the word or through helping us pay for some of the stuff that we provide, that is a huge help, and we appreciate every bit of it. Okay, because we know that we wouldn't be here without you guys. Now, that being said, okay, we have a passion to correct the wrongs that are happening in this country, and the only way we can do that is get back to our constitutional base. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. Okay? The Constitution starts off with we the people. That means in order for us to have the country that our founders envisioned, the people must be involved in their governance. Without you, we don't have a government. The government has us. Okay. That being said, we are here every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Please invite your friends, invite your family, get others, help us get the word out. We need to start showing people what's going on. People are starting to wake up. They're slowly starting to wake up. And they're starting to realize that regardless of what side we are on, we must get back to our constitutional base. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose everything. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time.